In 2005, the KBA board established the Kentucky Bankers Relief Fund with $50,000 seed money to assist bank employees in those states affected by Hurricane Katrina. It was also used again in 2017 after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. Why bank employees first? In every disaster we witnessed, we saw bankers putting their own lives on hold so they could immediately get to work helping their communities and businesses get back up on their feet. As a result, bank employees were the last in food lines, clothing handouts, and getting drinking water because they had spent their day reaching out to the people of the community, their neighbors, whether they were customers or not. Our Bankers First approach makes sure we are taking care of bank employees while they are taking care of their communities with supplies like food, water, and clothing, as well as housing and transportation. What we learned from our earlier efforts helping others was seeds well sown reap great benefits. After the tornado in western Kentucky, we partnered with the American Bankers Association to raise money for the fund from across the country. Again, in July, when East Kentucky was ravaged by floodwaters, we reached out for help. The results? The Relief Fund has raised over $1,180,000. We have received 561 donations from across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. More amazing is that 31 donations made up 71% of the contributions. Organizations like the American Bankers Association and CSI both gave over $100,000 donations to kick the fund off. The list of donors is very impressive, but what amazes me even more was that we received 531 donations ranging from $5 and up, receiving notes from people we didn't even know, saying this was all they could give, but they wanted to help. For example, the Landon School in Bethesda, Maryland, did a toy drive for the kids that lost everything. The damage across Kentucky was on display for all to see, and we could not be more grateful to those who came to the aid of Kentuckians.
Our Bakefield community, it had a direct hit that totally took out the downtown corridor and many of the residential and farm areas around the community.
There were areas in Mayfield and Graves County that were totally destroyed.
We woke up to the news that some of our team members had sustained pretty serious damage to their homes.
Initially, it was trying to figure out how we can get in touch with our bank members and find out how they fared this storm.
We started that day by carefully going through the list of all of our team members and making sure that we had accounted for each and every one of them.
We actually had 2 employees whose houses were damaged that evening, one of which was our operations officer, and her home was a total loss.
Everyone was shaken up by seeing just the sheer amount of destruction. My mom kept saying it just looks like a bomb went off.
Suddenly our state is faced with back-to-back weather-created disasters, far west and far east.
Eastern Kentucky obviously has been through quite a devastating occurrence. Leicester County was affected by the flooding, but not nearly to the extent that some of our neighbors.
I'm seeing the pictures of floods in Eastern Kentucky, and my heart is just wrenching at the mud that's just packed into these people's homes.
We had some of our customers and some of our folks lose their homes. We had lots of bridges washed out.
That's where community comes together, just like that.
We wanted to do whatever we could to help victims.
The immediate thing that the bank did is, first of all, we needed to find out which of our employees, who was affected.
Our employees immediately started gathering supplies and put them in the hands of who needed them.
We tried to physically get out there and be in the community.
Many of our employees went to the neighborhoods and assisted with the cleanup efforts and delivered hot meals to families and workers.
They were collecting monetary donations, they were getting cleaning supplies, and our folks were going into these affected communities and handing out things almost immediately.
I've never seen a group come together and just absolutely blow away my expectations.
The devastation of the tornadoes in Western Kentucky and the flooding in Eastern Kentucky have caused significant hardships for families and businesses. The KBA Relief Fund is a tremendous resource that helps communities rebuild after experiencing a disaster.
And then I get a call, and it's from Ballard Cassidy, and it's like, just around 8 o'clock in the morning. He's like, Lainey, first, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. How's your bank? We're good. How's your team? Right now, we're good. I haven't heard from all around, but right now, I think everything's good. How can we help?
Having firsthand experience when 10 years ago, a tornado destroyed my bank in my hometown of West Liberty. Foremost in my mind is how Kentucky banks came to our rescue. How Ballard and Deborah and the Kentucky Bankers Association came to our aid and was instrumental in the recovery.
When Ballard called me right after the storm and asked me what he could do, I thought he was asking me what I could do. And he goes, no, Ruthie, I'm asking you, what can I do to help your bank and your employees?
And he told me that, they were going to open back up this relief fund that they put in place several years ago.
Our friends at KBA stepped in, and to our amazement, they didn't just want to contribute to our fund. They wanted to know the names of the people and what they had lost.
But the Kentucky Banker Relief Fund helped our 3 employees who were severely impacted by the tornado.
And then Ballard was calling almost every day, what's the situation? What can we do? And so eventually I said, okay, here's the list of things that we need. And he said, just send them to Deborah. Send it all to Deborah. And so I did. And the next thing I know, they've called and they're like, we're coming down there. Where do you want us to go? We've got a boxcar. We've got my truck. We've got things just filled up.
They stepped in and provided a financial relief to those individual people in an amount that surpassed our expectations.
Disasters of this magnitude are shocking and shake our foundation. You have the support of every bank and every employee within our industry.
The sight of neighbors helping neighbors was truly touching to see. So typical of small towns across Kentucky.
My hope is that my bank and my community is a testament that each of you affected by these events will come back stronger and better than before. The bankers of Kentucky have your back, not only today, but throughout your recovery.
To date, the fund has given out over $675,000 to aid disaster relief. $257,000 of that went to Bankers First. We are so proud of our bankers that no words can explain it. But if I can quote Sean Dietrich, writer of Sean of the South, we might get close. These people are not like other people. They're not merely muscle and blood. They're more than skin and bones. These people are made of the same granite and iron with which the Appalachians themselves were formed. But when I see you, Kentucky, my God, I see the best part of humankind, shining like a floodlight in the darkness. We are Kentuckians by the grace of God, and in the name of God, we'll take care of our own. That is why Kentucky bankers go the extra mile every day for their communities.